Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Derk Harron.
Back with another comic book review for you guys, and while this one might be a couple weeks late, I did still want to get to it. I was behind on this one, not Derk. Derk was ready to go the day of course. I was not, unfortunately, with this one, but I finally went and picked up some issues that I was behind on, including Doomsday Clock number 2. Now, we did a review of the first issue last month when it came out, so I'm going to go ahead and assume/hope we can do this every month throughout the series, because it is interesting, and I will say, starting right off, that I liked this issue a little bit better than the first one.
Okay.
Just because the first one felt so Watchmen world heavy to me, and I'm in it for the DC side.
Right.
And I was concerned after reading the first one, like, God, how much more Watchmen stuff is going to come into this? I don't know if I'm going to like it. And this one is just like, okay, no, the Watchmen stuff that you got in the first one, that's the Watchmen stuff you're going to get. Mm-hmm. At least as of, this point. That could change down the line, but it seems pretty, definitive that this is what we're going to go with for the foreseeable future. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. The artwork continues to kick ass. Gary Frank firing on all cylinders, but I did like it better than the first issue. How did you like this one?
I liked it. It went in a completely different direction than I thought it was going to.
You mentioned that to me.
That was surprising. But once again, like you said, without spoiling anything, mm-hmm. We definitely jumped to more the DC universe and those characters, but we're still with Rorschach and Ozymandias, and I can never get that right. And then the mime and his wife. Mm-hmm. So and
the Gestress.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's her name or not, but that needs to be a character.
I was just looking at the comic and I'm like, it doesn't say her name anywhere, but I know the mime because I think he's just such an interesting.
He
character.
Is really cool. He is. And again, a lot of it has to do with Gary Frank's artwork, because he makes the mime so imposing, and he has to get across everything just using his facial structure.
Right. Which
is really neat, because Gary Frank was actually pushing himself into Kevin Maguire and the old Bwahaha Justice League sort of era, where their faces were so expressive and things like that. Frank does it with the mime in order to get his emotions across, but he's so good at it that it's so ominous, and he's almost scary.
Oh yeah, especially in that first issue when he just beats the shit out of all those prisoners and stuff like that. But then,
well, there's a jump scare with him in this one, essentially, and she someone pushes the button. And she looks up, and he's just he's right there. I was like, oh my god!
And I just love it how he thinks of his finger as a gun.
Yeah,
well,
it's just aiming it. Yeah,
but even his wife, she had that great moment where she cuts that guy's finger off. Yep. I was just, I like that duo.
I can only hope that. They're gonna have to bring Joker in, but I can only hope that she's gonna come face to face with Harley.
Yeah,
I think that would be an awesome interaction to have.
Just the interaction with the Joker with those two would be great.
Yeah,
just
really would.
Because they are kind of like the Joker, Harley Quinn
of that world,
of the Watchmen era, of the universe.
So it's super interesting that way. Yeah. Go ahead, continue, please.
But I don't know. Do we want to tell?
I think we can, because we're gonna get into the story, you guys. Now, keep in mind, this is issue 2 of a 12-issue long series.
Right.
But if we're going to be reviewing issue by issue, we do have to talk about what happens in the issues. Mm. So, there is some stuff that you might consider spoilers, but it's, with a comic, it's how it plays out and the artwork and everything like that too. So, we can try and be careful. Let's not say exactly the big spoiler stuff. Just say that at one point, the characters from the Watchmen universe, Ozymandias, and those two, Rorschach, Ozymandias, Rorschach, and those two get in Night Owl's ship.
Right.
And Ozymandias has this plan that he's trying to enact. We're not going to say exactly what the plan is. Doesn't go according to plan, and they end up getting thrust into another dimension, being the DC universe.
Well, I think that they did, though.
Oh, they did that on purpose?
Yeah, they did that on purpose.
That was his specific design.
Well,
oh, that's right. Yeah, no, you're right, because he is going... Okay, so, yeah, go ahead and explain why they're doing it. You're right.
Well,
it seemed like it was a muffled thing because something was delayed when it happened, but I guess he still accomplished his goal.
Well, yeah, because the thing is that they wanted to lure Dr. Manhattan out of wherever he is.
Because he's been hiding since the end of Watchmen.
Yeah, and so that's why he brought on the mime and his wife to do this bank heist, so that hopefully Dr. Manhattan would show up, and he did. Mm-hmm. And so it was interesting how they kind of explained the science of Dr. Manhattan, and that like because of he's blue, it's just like these leaking.
It's his leaking electrons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you can actually follow those electrons. They leave leaves a trail, and so that's how they were able to like follow him. Mm-hmm. And we won't. I won't go into like the reason why they had to get out of that situation, but they do. They follow him the best that they can, and then that leads them into like another universe.
Right, and it must be said that this is a book being put out by DC, so Dr. Manhattan is rocking some sweet new threads down below. He's got a black Speedo, essentially a little designed black Speedo going on, rather than Manhattan crank swinging all around this comic. So you don't have to worry about that. But I gotta say, when they cross over into the DC universe, the visual that they used was so awesome, because it was like fresh out of a movie to me. Like I was like, that is perfect. Because what happens is, again, they're in Night Owl's ship, and they come into the DCU over Gotham City. And when they do, the bat signal is shining up in the sky on some clouds, and then the Night Owl, like you just see the bat signal's eyes light up, and then the Night Owl ship bursts through the clouds and then just crash lands in Gotham City, and it's such a cool visual. I was like, oh, that's really sweet, man.
And I loved it how like they were just like, well, where do we go first? And they were like, the public library, of course. Yeah. Because we need to find out everything about this world and what's going on.
What's different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Ozymandias, I love it how like he pinpoints that that the two people that they need to talk to.
Sorry.
Like the two people that they need to talk to is Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, the two smartest people on the planet. Yeah. Although I don't like that they necessarily... Has that always been understood that they're... I know Lex was probably number one. I don't know if it was ever fully established that Bruce is number two. I thought Ra's al Ghul would be probably way up there. I thought...
But I think that...
Martian Manhunter
there
too?
Probably wouldn't be too much... information on him in
that Ra's al Ghul, that's true.
In the public library.
That's true. Well, there is that head of the internationally secretive criminal empire.
Yeah.
He's probably pretty smart too.
But I think that
you're right.
I think that what he was also getting at was that there's Wayne Industries and then
LexCorp.
LexCorp that are like these two big corporations that pretty much like own the world, and so they know that they need to talk to these two guys.
Yeah.
To figure out their problem.
Right. Exactly. This last issue we caught a glimpse of Superman.
Yeah.
This issue it was more like we saw him briefly, but it was Batman in this time around.
Right.
So I don't know if the plan is to have it more Trinity driven, or if we're just going to get sort of a new DC character entering the fold kind of each issue, or how it's going to unfold. But I'm really interested to see how it goes from here.
Yeah.
Because now this is something I can handle. Like this is not like, I wouldn't have liked it as much if a few DC characters had gone to the Watchmen universe.
Right.
I like it way better that a few Watchmen characters are coming to the DCU.
Yeah.
That is way more up my alley.
Well,
and who knows, maybe we'll get the rest in the back half of the series.
That special edition lenticular cover, it did show the Trinity logos. So I'm assuming Wonder Woman is going to play a role in it.
Okay.
So
let's talk about the artwork more in depth. What did you think of Mr. Frank's art?
It's great. I think that Jeff Johns and Gary Frank are just such a great pair, and they've done so much great work over, like, I don't know, hasn't it been like a decade now?
I think it might be at this point, yeah.
So yeah, and I feel like they were the perfect duo to take on such a big project like this.
Yeah, and it's nice because it's they're giving it the full monthly treatment, and even though I gotta imagine that Gary Frank isn't used to necessarily having to do the 9-panel grid, it's not exactly like that. He takes some liberties where it's a bigger one and whatnot, but I mean, it's still that grid, but sometimes he combines the panels and things like that. But still, that's a lot of extra artwork to do compared to what a lot of people do nowadays in the more decompressed format.
Right.
So it's impressive that I get it's only 2 issues in, and then they probably got like 6 or 7 issues ahead before the series started coming out.
Right.
So I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but there's always that concern about artwork suffering later in series.
Well, they when they announced this series, they said that they had already been working on it 2 years in advance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I feel like, I don't think that the artwork is going to suffer.
Yeah, I doubt they wanted to risk, sullying the Watchmen property with anything bad. I mean, even though I don't know how those before Watchmen things were, maybe that sullied it in some people's minds. But either way, I'm on board for this. I thought Gary Frank, like I said, I was touting his facial work earlier because it's so good and it's so crisp. Like, I really love his stuff because it's so, like, the heavy lines, very crisp artwork that just is so clean to me. I love that. It's even a little bit cleaner than like Jim Lee. Jim Lee's still a little scratchier than him, but they're both so refined. And Gary Frank is just one of my absolute favorites, especially doing the DC Universe. Gary Frank's Lex Luthor is a definitive Lex Luthor to me. For me.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that the cover that we had was with the Mimes costume on the ground, and that's actually the first panel of the second issue, and so that's why it just shows you how much detail Gary Frank goes into. That, like, just one panel could represent a cover.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So.
Yeah. So, are you excited to continue on with this?
Oh yeah.
Even though it's not going. So what? Even though it's not going the direction you went in, you're still on board.
Yeah.
Or
definitely.
you were expecting rather.
Right. I just like the whole idea of, like, them having to get in contact with Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne. That they're these two, like, pivotal characters that they need to get a hold of to figure out their problem, and hopefully they'll come on board. I also liked it how, like, because it came down to Ozymandias and Rorschach, like, who do they pick to go and talk to?
Yeah.
And I love the pairing. I won't spoil who goes where. But,
yeah, it's really good stuff. Well, I mean, if you look closely at the cover, you can kind of tell. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lex Luthor cover. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good enough place to stop it,
Yeah.
though. I mean, we really enjoyed this issue. So if you guys are still not sure if you want to pick it up, we're 2 issues in, and it's going strong, 1/6 of the way there. And I don't see how it's going to necessarily dip in quality, because it's only going to get more and more intriguing, hopefully, going forward. So
Unless Jeff Johns, like, throws in a big hiccup.
We'll see.
I think that it's just Gary Frank's gonna be on his top
point,
game.
yeah.
Top game, but, like, I don't know. It's just, especially what he's the content that he's dealing with, and just the fan base. I know that he's already stepping on a bunch of people's toes with like taking on, like, such a feat of the sequel to the Watchmen.
Right.
But I like what we got so far.
Yeah, and I don't have such an attachment to the Watchmen that's a concern for me.
Yeah.
And I've loved Jeff Johns forever. I mean, I really have loved his DC work for so long. So I'm, in Johns I trust. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for this review of Doomsday Clock number 2. Head on out to your local comic book store, support the local comic book scene, and pick up a copy for yourself. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Dirk Harron.
And remember, stay scared.